and Bud Zapatelli out there as well, and Jack. So I think we got the whole gang. Good evening and welcome to the Plain Township Board of Trustees regular meeting for February the 3rd, 2021. We'll start out with the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. Tom, do you want us to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tom. That gets us to roll call. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mr. Ripsky.
Here.
Mr. Olmsted.
I am here.
All right. We have additions or corrections to the agenda, and remember, we're going to see if we can break a record in terms of the time for this meeting. So
we got an executive session, unfortunately, but maybe we can get the regular one going.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Any additions or corrections to the agenda from the trustees?
No.
Other than the executive session.
Yep.
For
Okay.
Employment and compensation.
Yep. Duly noted. Anything from the fire department in terms of additions or corrections?
No, sir.
Thank you. To the administrator, do we have any additions or corrections from the administrator's office?
I do not.
I think I heard do not. Could barely hear you, Ben. Okay. Fiscal office.
I do not believe there is anything to add.
Very good. Well, that gets us down to the approval of the minutes for January 20th. Dave, do you want to give me a motion, assuming there's no additions or corrections?
Yeah, I reviewed them. I had no additions or corrections, so I would move approval of the meeting minutes for the January 20th, 2021 meeting.
I will second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Tom?
Aye.
Dave,
Yes.
I heard you. Okay.
Yep.
All right, very good. That gets us to pending warrants. I have pending warrants in front of me of $325,953.92. I also move on the pending warrants.
I will second that.
And if Dave's going to second that, if we have any discussion, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think I had one question. Ben, would you roll down to the checks pay? There we go. There was somebody I saw in here that, Phoenix Safety Outfitters. Jack, is that just scheduled replacement of fire gloves for $16,000?
I knew you were going to ask that, so I checked on the reason it said fire gloves. Actually, that's 5 sets of turnout gear, which was the largest portion of that. Fire gloves were a very small portion of that.
Okay, and then Mobileye is our fire inspector software annual maintenance fee, right?
Correct.
Yep, that's all I had.
Jack, I'm glad you're studying your warrants. That's good stuff. Okay, we had a first and a second on the motion. All in favor, Dave?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. That gets us down to the city liaison, Mike Durek, reporting from Palm Springs, California.
What a good life.
Yes, it is wonderful out west, guys. I will say that. So, council did meet last night, and a couple of other administrative issues and things. I think the biggest item of note to all of you is we did approve the modification of the speed limit on 1.3 miles of Route 62 on a stretch from the southern boundary of Thurston Hall and up north to Central College. It's currently 50 miles per hour, and it's going to be reduced to 45 miles per hour. Part of that is for a safety concern with all the modifications we're going to be doing to the ramps and the interchange there, that we thought it'd be a little bit safer. And when you go south past Thurston Hall, it drops down to 35. So it's not quite as big a drop off, and I don't think 5 miles an hour should make much of a difference to most people, but that was approved yesterday. And that's the biggest thing of note. Everything else was sort of bidding on contracts, things like that.
Thanks, Mike.
Alrighty.
Okay, that gets us down to item number 7, Township Records Commission. Review of any requests to dispose of obsolete records. Is this Ben or the fiscal office reporting on this area?
Bud, you're on mute if you're talking.
Yeah, I wasn't talking. I was, I guess, waiting to see if Ben or Courtney knew why it was on here. I did not, I was not apprised of what's happening with it, so.
Well, this is our annual, don't we do our annual records commission in February?
Yes, can you hear me now? This is Ben.
Yep, we can hear you now.
I can barely hear you, Ben.
Yeah, it's kind of weak.
Can't hear you at all now if you're talking, Ben.
This is our annual meeting that's required by statute, consists of the chair of the Board of Trustees and the fiscal officer. Really just a statutory requirement, but if we did have any changes to our retention schedule or request to dispose of records, now is the time that would be made. I had asked Courtney, the fiscal office, had anything to present at this time, and she did not.
So essentially, what is the purging policy for records? What is the limitation on how long we need to keep records? Is it 3 years, 2 years?
Dave, it's all over the book. I mean, some things are required lifetime. Meeting minutes, for example, you have to retain for lifetime. So there's a schedule that we follow according to the Ohio Historical Society, as I recall, and we follow that schedule unless there's some changes that want to be made, and then I think we have to go back through to the Historical Society and ask if we can destroy whatever wants to be destroyed. Ben can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's my recollection.
About 5 years ago, the township went through a rather long process to adopt the retention schedule. It was reviewed by the Ohio Historical Society. And it's about 16 pages, covers everything, different departments. And but, Mr. Zappatelli is correct. It might be until it's no longer of administrative value, or it might be permanently.
Yeah, and I understand about cemetery records and things of that nature. I didn't know in terms of financial records, in terms of statements and things of that nature, how long retention was. But it
So,
sounds
for
like
example, vendor files, we will keep those for at least 4 years beyond auditing.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Is there any action that we need to take or other discussion on this topic?
Not at this time. Just have to go through the process.
Okay. You might want to scroll up a little bit on the agenda there for me. The next is the departmental reports. We have the administrator's report. Ben, did you want to call out anything on your report besides a resolution?
There is an update on OPEC HC and how that's all working through the courts at this time. Do want to point out our health reimbursement account is still flattening out, and right now we are only 15% over 2019 expenses. Did want to have some discussion about the solid waste collection contract. I had provided some information to the Board of Trustees about one opportunity to adjust our process here in regard to how we treat the cost of collecting at our township facilities. It's around $12,000 projected annually, and we could potentially divide that cost between different funds, including general, fire, roads, and pool. Because we are currently tied with the city of New Albany in our trash contracts, if we were to do something similar, it would keep us on even footing for bidding out our collection services. I believe the city is currently paying their facility collection costs directly, somewhere around $40,000 for the city's annual cost.
Yeah, Ben, and my recollection on this was that in order to stay aligned with the city, that guarantees that we can keep the rates that we can go out together, keep the rates that we've had or by virtue of the bigger population and keep the cost down for the township residents. I mean, I have no problems with splitting out the township's waste collection and splitting it by fund. That makes sense to me. I mean, all in all, the residents will probably save a lot of money versus us having to go out by ourselves.
I would agree with Dave.
Yeah, I have no objections.
Great. So with some consensus, I'll go back to our partners at SWACO and the team that's putting together the bidding and follow up with the city of New Albany. And we'll proceed in that direction. That will end up saving our residents a few dollars on their monthly fees and will put us in a better position on this next round of bidding.
Great.
Very good. You have another item on the lease you want to talk about or anything there?
So an update on the lease. As you know, G&G Music Company has vacated the premises and its parent company has filed bankruptcy. The township is receiving notice of the activities on that bankruptcy. Maintenance has done a really nice job, kind of just repairing the walls and prepping the space, putting some lighting in. And I do have someone who's going to stop by the space tomorrow to take a look. I have reached out to the city of New Albany and the business incubator. Right now, my preference would be to lease out the entire space, but it would be possible to divide the space if it worked out in everyone's best interest to do that. But just an update for the board, that's where we're at.
Great.
So
Thanks, Bobby.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. Is the space ready to be presented for leasing purposes? And are we retaining anybody to lend assistance on that?
Well, Bob and the maintenance team are finalizing their, prep of this space to show it. We have not engaged a realtor. Typically a commercial realtor will take a significant portion of the annual rent. Wanted to see how much interest we could generate with our existing contacts. We can always engage a realtor if need be.
That's fine. I'm just curious. Thanks. Makes sense. I agree.
Yeah, Mary had looked at some current comps, both within the village center and throughout New Albany. We are in a pretty good spot with our total square footage cost. Some things could impact that if we ended up with a nonprofit tenant, for example, we could potentially petition to have the entire property exempted from property tax.
You guys, I'll be back in 1 second.
What do you know, just for my reference, in case I run into somebody who might be interested in space, what the per square foot rate is? Or can you send that to us?
Sure, I'd be glad to circulate that. We're about $16 a square foot for the base rent and about $6 a square foot in utilities, property tax, and CAM charge. It's around 22 total.
That's fair.
How many square feet is that available again?
2,150.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll send you the materials that we have prepared for circulation, including the existing layout, so people can kind of see what the current layout is. It might have some appeal to certain parties.
It'd be great for an accounting office or a tax office, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Plenty
Yep,
of parking.
great location.
Yeah, individual potential offices, open conferences rooms, everything. So yeah, let's keep moving. Thank you for that report. We do have a resolution number 2102 203A1, a resolution to approve the internet auction for 2020.
I'm back.
Yeah, so I just read the resolution there. This is basically for the personal property, including motor vehicles. Oh, okay. Internet auction for the personal vehicles. Okay. This is the township's older vehicles in the fire department and or the maintenance.
So the ORC requires the township to adopt a resolution annually to dispose of obsolete equipment by internet auction. And so this just authorizes the disposal through internet auction, and then we will separately present a resolution listing the individual equipment to be disposed of for the trustees to review.
Are we planning to use it this year for potential vehicles in the fire department or maintenance or equipment?
It could be. It includes all personal property and motor vehicles, so it's wide ranging. We may dispose of potentially the grass truck at the fire department or something like that. There's miscellaneous equipment, some old hose and different things that we'll want to dispose of.
Okay, very good. I'm going to go ahead and move adoption. Do I have a second? Tom?
I was second. Tom second.
All right. All in favor, please say yes. Tom?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Okay, that gets us through the administrator's area. Now we're into the zoning. Ben, anything you want to call out on your written zoning report?
So I do want to touch base on this proposed small subdivision on Walnut Street. And talking with Franklin County and the developer, if it's the township's desire via the Board of Trustees to allow this property to be developed under its current zoning, the county would basically defer to the township. Initially the county pointed out that the current zoning doesn't match the land use plan. But keep in mind, the land use plan was drafted in 2005, and much of what it was designed to do has been accomplished to preserve the natural features and the northern band of the township. As you know, we have a great metro park with over 1,000 acres that's now been preserved. And this particular piece of property, I think, is appropriate to develop under the current zoning, which is rural. Again, it would be 12 lots versus 18 to 24 if they were to rezone it. They would preserve the wetlands and the existing riparian corridor. And I think those are reasonable trade-offs to allow development under the current zoning.
Yeah, I'm all for lower density.
Well, that's great that they had decided to defer to our thoughts, and no, I think it's a good idea. I mean, Ben, are you in agreement?
I'm in agreement. I think it's a win for the township. We limit the number of lots, limit population, traffic, fewer lots with in-ground, septic systems. It's better for the environment. I think it's a win all around.
Yeah,
Right.
Ben. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom.
No, I'm done.
Okay. One suggestion would be to get, you probably already thought of this, but contact the Metro Park now and see if the Metro Park would permit a connection to their trail system like they have, just around the corner from that at Albany View. The more connections, you got, so 24, however many lots we ended up with there, 12 lots, and for the people to get to the trail system, if they put it in now, it won't be controversial. If you try to do it later, then it could be, and you'd have to get easements and the rest of that. So more connections are better.
Yes, Mr. Blumenfeld, it's a great idea, and we currently are working on that. As you mentioned, Albany View to the north also has 12 lots in a similar arrangement, and they do have that trail connection. And so we think that's a great idea.
Right.
So just, this will be on septic, this in well, this will not be any water or sewer, correct?
That's correct.
Could they get water and sewer?
This is one of those little carve outs that makes that challenging at this time. It's an
Uh-huh.
area identified to be served by the city of Columbus, but city of Columbus doesn't have contiguity. It's probably 1,000 feet away from this site and not able to serve it currently.
I mean, Columbus over time expects to, I mean, their thought was to come across the top part of the township and then have a way to get over into Licking County. So, you know, they've been working on, you know, putting, you know, water and sewer through there. And I think, you know, for them, it's all about development is when they extend a lot of that stuff.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. I don't have any issues. I'm just surprised with the owner of the land that they would not want to connect this somehow to the city and water. But I guess for us, like you said, lower density is better and better for the township.
Yeah, the owner did
So,
explore that option. You know, we went back and forth, and it's not available at this time, and they want to proceed. So
very good. Maintenance report, Mr. Ferris, Bob Ferris.
Yes, sir.
Come
We've
on
had a
out of
lot.
that lazy boy chair and come up to the computer and let's do it.
I'm on my phone.
Oh,
We've had a lot of white death since the last meeting.
yeah.
We took delivery of our new jack. I met with Pella Windows today up at the firehouse. They found 2 windows that need replaced. We got our truck back after having the hydraulic cylinder replaced. And we're still working on the deal with New Albany garage about getting them to work on our vehicles.
So when you say you're working on that deal, what's we got Mike Dirk on here too. Is there any issues, or are they just working with Joe? Can you get a little more specific than that?
We just need to get together, and me and Travis need to go up and talk to them. We need to figure out, because a couple of people up in New Albany's told me that they can't even keep up with what they have of their own to work on, let alone working on somebody else's. So,
Do you feel like that's factual, or because before I thought they had lots of capacity and were bringing on additional mechanics, but I'm a little bit.
they don't have the mechanics right now to probably handle us.
I see.
So, but
This is Mike. I'll reach out to Joe Stefanoff tomorrow. I'll send him an email and try to understand, at least alert him and see if there's anything more he can add to it.
That'd be great.
Clarify that for you.
I think
That'd be
Ben's
great.
already talked with Joe about it.
Oh.
Him and Joe's agreed that we need to just work out the details.
yeah, Mr. Chair. So Joe and I have talked conceptually about the opportunity now that the city has a certified heavy truck mechanic. And really, we just asked our staff to coordinate and talk to each other about the opportunity. What kind of services would we be in need of? What could the city mechanics offer? What would be routine that we could schedule out ahead of time and just fit into their business?
Mhm.
And then how could they, help us with keep our equipment in use?
Well, that would be a great win-win for our community. So if you guys can continue to communicate, just keep us posted.
Well, on that note, made an appointment to take the other dump truck in to a place where Travis has been having fire equipment worked on up in Licking County. The front end's got some kind of issue with the four-wheel drive. I don't know if it's the front axle shafts, the U-joints are rusted, but every time you lock the front hubs, the front end just sounds like a bird's chirping. It's just squeaking all the time. So I got an appointment for the 8th to drop it off and get it taken care of.
Which truck is that, Bob?
The oldest dump truck,
Hmm.
about 7 years old.
Okay.
So just wanted to make you aware of it. I don't know what it's going to cost. So
How's the plowing gone?
once we got the truck back that we normally use for plowing, it's going pretty good. But we had the other truck with the issues of squeaking. We could only use two-wheel drive, and you had to be very, very careful. So
Are you driving it or is somebody else?
all three of us.
Okay.
So
Very good.
otherwise, it's not too bad.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Very good. So we're on to resolution 210203M1, a resolution to authorize the maintenance superintendent to hire 2021 summer seasonal maintenance staff. This is for $15 an hour, not to exceed $1,500 hours per employee for 2021. I'll go ahead and move on this resolution.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, say yes. Dave?
Yes.
Tom? You're on mute, Tom, but you can raise your hand. I can get that. Okay. All right. He gave me a hand raise there, so I'm not quite sure if our administrator would accept that for official vote or not. They might need your audio there, Tom.
Yes, I say yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, phone ring in the
All right.
background.
Tom votes yes, and I'll vote yes as well. That takes care of our maintenance reporting there. We're into the fire department. Jack, I know that you're on the line there. I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Good evening, everyone. And
Hey, Jack.
hope everybody is ready for the cold weekend and next week. I know we're kind of talking about it, getting prepared, making certain that the equipment is ready for the sub-zero weather and that. So we had 61 EMS runs and 24 fire runs in from the 15th through the 29th, which is about a normal run volume for us at this point. And I don't know if you have any questions about that. You can, Ben's highlighted the numbers of run. Actually, we're seeing an increase in runs at 7320, and 7320 has a number of facilities in the Central Ohio area, and they've taken that facility, since it has the least population. I think I might have mentioned that before, and actually turned it into their COVID facility, and are sending patients from the other facilities to that location so that they have them quarantined together and it doesn't affect their other facilities. We have
Jack, Columbus runs look like they're down this period compared to prior. Anything there?
Yep, it's true. It's they're down all the way around for all the departments. So everybody is seeing that, but everybody's saying that their run volumes are returning to near normal. But some of our run volume being down is the fact that the businesses, any of the businesses through the park, that have people working from home. So our run volumes to a lot of the businesses in the park are down. With school, we're not having any runs to the schools when the schools were working virtually in that. So, and that's affected everybody across the entire state, and I would
Sure.
assume through the country as well.
Yeah, it's just, looking last period to this period, it's just, and I'm not complaining that they're down. That means that people, we always want to be there for people, but don't want to have them in a position where they need us. So,
Right. We've tried to be pretty vocal, and I know the news has tried to be pretty vocal, and there's advertisements out there that, that people should not be afraid to use the ERs. People should not be afraid to call 911, when they're in need.
yeah, sure. Great.
So we do have two resolutions before the board, F1 and F2. Those are resolutions for VFIS, which is the additional accident and sick coverage that we carry. F1's for the career, and then actually F2 says for volunteers, but that F2 includes our part-time staff.
That's why I knew it was something. I saw that as well, and I thought, no, I know we do it. It says volunteers, but it's something else. So yeah, this is our annual policy, or these are our
Yes,
annual policies.
Yes. And it's actually reduced from last year. It went down about $200.
No good.
And then I just have just a couple points to give to the board when you're done with the resolutions.
Very good. Thank you, Jack. We have a couple resolutions. Tom, do you want to take F1?
Sure. Resolution number 210203F1, a resolution to pay Ohio Public Risk Insurance in the amount of $6,500 for VFIS accident and sickness coverage. I so move.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say yes, please. Dave?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes. Yes.
How about yes as well? All right, the resolution passes. Tom, you want to take F2?
Sure. Resolution number 210203F2, a resolution to pay Ohio Public Risk Insurance Agency in the amount of $1,500 for VFIS accident coverage for part-time volunteer firefighters. I so move.
I'll second that.
Dave, second that. All in favor, say yes, please. Dave?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes. Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Okay, so that gets us done with the resolutions. Jack, I'll turn the floor back to you.
Okay, and I just wanted to update you about our second round of shots, inoculations for COVID. And we still got a number of people to go through them, but we have, as has been discussed, is that usually that second shot, if somebody's going to have an increase in side effects, that it's occurring with the second shots. And we have had 2 firefighters call off that they've experienced some aches and pains, some fevers, and some chills with their second shots. The remainder of the people that have gone through pretty much have said that they've had a sore arm, maybe a slight headache, but have recovered pretty quickly. One of the things is that we had expected that the plumbing contractor would have started on our hot water system on February 8th. And we knew that there was a delay because they had some people quarantined as well. But now we understand there's an additional delay that after reevaluating the system, and their part of that system is regulation of the hot water that circulates to the system. So there's valves that and equipment that a regulator that controls the non-scalding features of the hot water system, and they felt that that needed to be replaced. And there's one piece of the device that they've ordered, and they expect the delivery of that on the 16th. So now we're looking at the 21st of February for the replacement of the hot water system. So an additional delay.
Is there additional, Chief, is there additional fee? I mean, is it a part that was not in the original proposal?
Yeah, there may be an additional fee. They indicated that they thought that they could cover that in the cost of what we approved. The device, my understanding is the device was not, the one we're waiting on is not all that expensive.
Great.
And the system is something that's not been taken care of before. I don't know that it was understood that actually there's 3 pieces to it, and they should be annually rebuilt. And we don't know that they've ever been rebuilt. So that's a contract that we'll probably have to look at entering into to make certain that annually that those devices are all rebuilt and checked.
Thank you, Jack.
The last thing, go ahead.
No, I was going to back up one comment that you had and ask, the vaccines that you were receiving at the department, were they, do you know, were they Moderna, Pfizer, or what?
They were the Moderna. They were all Moderna. Yeah. Yep. So.
Thanks. Thank you.
And then the last thing is that thanks to Nash, to the hospital, we're going to be able to use the auditorium. We've got a course coming up that's a pediatric life support course. And we were struggling because we have a deadline that we have to complete that course. The American Heart Association, which regulates the course, was not willing to extend any of the certification periods. And so we do and operate that course as a unit. So we were concerned about having the unit going off, which will receive the course, and the unit on duty, and having 2 full staffs in the firehouse with social distancing, trying to work through the course and the program. And Chief Brown reached out to the hospital and their EMS coordinator through Mount Carmel, and they've agreed to allow us to use the auditorium there at New Albany, which is going to solve our problem of having double staff in the station. So we're appreciative of that.
Oh, great. Thanks to them.
That's it.
Thanks,
Thank
Jack.
you, Jack. That gets us down to our Township Fiscal Officer, Bud Zappatelli. Bud, what items would you like us to review besides the resolution?
Well, we have included in here the 2020 year-end report. I think it's version 3.0. Courtney can correct me on that. Courtney had to go back and make a couple adjustments, but I think this is the final version. We've got credit card statements and just a resolution to do some housekeeping for fund transfer for the pool in anticipation of the start of the season.
So, what is Ben? What is people talking about in terms of pool operations this year? I know nobody probably really knows, but from a contractual perspective, what do we have to do, and how much would it cost us, and when do we need to make those decisions by?
So back in 2019, we bid out the pool management contract, and we actually got a bid for 3 years that goes through 2021. So we have a fixed cost in our agreement. The board passed the 1% initial payment on that 2021 contract. And I talked to Fred Enter at CPM, and they're ready to begin their process of preparation. We don't have a major payment due until April 1st. So we have, a couple of months here to sort through things and see what information comes out before we have to extend any substantial sum of money. We know, however, that it typically costs us $60,000 to prepare the site, through March, just with our repairs and landscaping and painting and personnel costs.
Yeah, Ben, and I know you and staff were looking at all the factors surrounding the the pool operations to come up with different scenarios for what we might do. Any idea on when you'll have that information available?
A lot of that's going to depend on the new health requirements that come out. What we've done is look at the experiences from last year, and we've had sort of an initial review with CPM about their experience in Central Ohio operating pools last year. And we will have we're putting together a list of operational options for the year. Things from, do we mark out our square foot areas on the concrete? How do we mark them? Do we limit the number of pieces of furniture? Do we not put any furniture out, make it bring your own? So we're talking through those options, but we'll have to wait for the health department regulations to come out before we really know what we're looking at. Last year they had formulas in place that pool operators had to, calculate their square footage within the facility, their square footage in the body of water, and come up with a maximum, attendee threshold. So we'll
Yeah. Yeah, I certainly understand all that. I guess what I'm looking at is more a little bit higher level, to just look broadly at, here are our costs to operate the pool. Here's the revenue. Here's, just do some very high level. Here's what, under a couple different scenarios, what we might be able to generate in revenue. And, if there's options like just running the main pool instead of running the interactive pool, some things that if, I know that we all last year, we tried our best to find a way to make it work, that and keep it from being a financial burden on the township to operate. We couldn't take the kind of loss that we would have encountered had we run the pool with the limitations that were in place then. So, if we can get some options that we can start thinking about, if this were to happen, this is what we have, just some high level stuff that will allow us to start thinking about what the opportunities are.
Staff can certainly start working on that. CPM offered to attend one of the board meetings if there was interest. If the board wants to ask specific questions, they'd be available. In the meantime, we'll start putting together some different scenarios.
Yeah, maybe plan on the March meeting, the March evening meeting. That will give us time to plan. Dave, Tom, is that something you'd like?
Yeah, here's the thing that I'm concerned about is, and maybe this is where you were going with, Dave, is again, not knowing what restrictions the health department's going to put on us. We'll be able to operate this, pool, or is it going to be just a significant loss to the township trying to operate it again for the summer? So I guess only time's going to tell and when we get all the facts in front of us, and like you said, some different scenarios. So I think March would be very appropriate for another discussion on this and just go through some of the scenarios and what's best for the township and the residents. I'm hopeful by summer, like we all are, that June, July, and August, especially those July and August, that this coronavirus is pretty well mitigated down. But having said that, what's that going to do to enrollment this year? I'm sure some families will be hesitant, and I think some might be pent up demand wanting to do it. And then the other point of it is, do we have a lot of restrictions where it's very difficult to operate? So anyway, those are all the things on my mind.
Yeah, no, totally agree.
So yeah, March sounds good.
I agree. Be a good time for the next conversation, just kind of see where we're at with the buyers.
Yep. All right, that gets us down to anything else in the fiscal office before we get into the resolution?
No, Dave, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, thanks to you and Courtney and your staff for all the hard work on year-end reports. And I know that if some of us get questions, we'll be in touch. In terms of resolution B1, Dave, you want to take that?
Sure. Resolution 201203B1, a resolution to transfer funds, and this is to transfer $50,000 from the general fund to the pool fund. And it's not to spend that money, but if we decide to go forward with pool operations, it positions the fund so that we can do that. So I would move adoption.
I will second.
Thank you, Tom. All in favor, please say yes. Tom?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Okay, that gets us down to item number 9 on the agenda. Any old business from the trustees?
I don't have any.
I have none.
Any new business?
I'll just mention that the McCoy stakeholders are meeting tomorrow morning, just a regular meeting, just our quarterly meeting.
Very good.
I have no new business.
I attended the foundation board meeting. It was the day after the most recent, I keep calling it the Jefferson series, but I think they've renamed it the New Albany lecture series. But it basically, they had very, very, very good turnout and participation into the discussion with Chris Christie and David Axelrod regarding, the civil discourse and having the types of debate and discussion that we'd like to have. I thought for those of you who didn't review it, or maybe did review it, I thought it was good, informative, and well needed and very timely. The foundation is again monitoring the overall construction and the project of the amphitheater, and I'm sure you've all been by that. That seems like that's taking shape, and so I think they're really hoping to have something in terms of some type of event there for a grand opening, and with COVID and hopefully dying down some, that will be permissible. And I think there's a lot of things they're trying to figure out. Same thing with the McCoy in terms of what types of events they're going to have. The actual remarkable evening was pretty successful. People were very pleased with the overall event. It raised over $1 million. And so I think that's pretty incredible considering the circumstances as well. But things seem to be pretty good. There's going to be a new chairperson, and the chairperson who was named is he's the treasurer at Abercrombie, and
Whoever. Gallagher.
Yep. Everett. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so all good. I think everybody's pleased compared to what we went through this year. I think Craig and the board have done a great job. So that's all I had.
Great.
All right. Having no new business, any citizens' comments? No citizens' comments. Therefore, I will recommend that we go ahead and enter executive session as scheduled on the agenda for employment and compensation, discipline, and demotion, whatever, under the Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G1.
I'll second that.
Dave's going to second that. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ripsky,
Yes.
Mr. Olmsted,
Yes.
and Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
7:49, guys.
Okay, great.
Very
And
good.
executive session is open. You guys got the link to it.
Yep.
I did not get the link to it.
Oh, okay. Ben, can you send that to Jack? Or I can. Are you Ben?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send it right over.
Okay.
All right, and Bud, please join us too.
Will do. See you there.
Okay, we're coming back.
We're back.
I'm back too. There's Dave. Bud's back. Then I move that we return from executive session.
Okay. Tom, did you second that? I couldn't hear.
Yes, yeah, I will second it.
Tom, second
Yes.
that? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Ferguson,
Yes.
Mr. Olmsted,
Yes.
Mr. Ripsky,
Yes.
8:39.
We've come out of executive session. It is 8:39. Do we have any other business to discuss at this time?
I have none.
I have none.
All right, I'll motion for adjournment. Do I have a
will
second?
that.
Dave seconded. All in favor, say yes. Dave?
Yes.
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, it's two. Our meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Be
All right.
safe out there.
Thanks,
Stay
everybody.
warm.
Good night,
Yeah.
everybody.
Good
Bye.
night.
Yep.